I'm missing some. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna try to go through these quickly, but today I'm gonna go through every single book that I have read so far this year, 2021, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of, I guess, summary of the book, or just why I liked it or why I didn't like it. And I'm gonna start with the first book I read at the beginning of the year and then go to the last one that I just finished reading. So, the first one that I read was You're Not Enough and That's Okay. You guys obviously know my thoughts on this because I have an entire series on this book going through chapter by chapter. Basically, this one is just talking about the self-love culture and how you're not enough and only God is enough for you. I have my playlist for this linked in the description box, and it'll probably be in the cards for you too if you guys want to check that out. But the next one that I read was Awaken Alive to Truth by John L. Cooper. He is the lead singer of Skillet. This one was really good. The only thing, it's not that I didn't like about it, but the only thing that was kind of a little bit boring to me was that it kind of reiterated things that if you're a firm Christian, you already know, which is good to hear and it's good to have that repeated to you, but I felt like it was a book that was meant for very new Christians in a way. All these books are linked in the description box for you if you guys wanted to pick up your own copy. The next one I read was The Envy of Eve, and this one was about comparison. The only thing I didn't like about this one is that it had discussion questions at the end of each chapter, and I don't like discussion questions. I skim them, I hardly ever read them, but it did really make me rethink some things in my life and how I had specifically envied one of my friends, and it actually did convict me to go and speak to her about it, and it kind of mended part of our relationship. So it was a really good book for me, and I'm really glad that I read it. So that one's a really good one. All right, the next book that I read, I don't have a copy with me because I got rid of it because I didn't really like it. It was called The YouTube Formula, and the reason I got rid of that book and I didn't really like it was it just seemed like it was talking about how here are all these people that started out as nobodies and now they're making millions. It was just kind of like shining a light on the people who are already making it big, and it kind of made you want that, and I don't want to be like somebody else. It almost made me feel like I needed to be comparing myself to other people, and I didn't like it. So it was alright. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. I'll link my Goodreads account in the description box for you too if you want to follow me, see what I've been reading, see what I read so far, see what I'm gonna read, all that good stuff. The next book that I read, I don't have that one with me either because I lent it out to a friend because it was a really good book. It's called Gay Girl, Good God, and it's by Jackie Hill Perry. It was a very interesting book. It was about Jackie Hill Perry and her story of being a lesbian and dealing with those thoughts as she grew stronger in her faith as a Christian. And it kind of talks about how Christians today need to deal with the LGBTQ community in a different way than they do. She also shows you as a Christian how to love those people instead of just judging them. It was very good. It was a very good book. The next book I read is Mere Christianity. This one is really good. This book is really interesting because it's written by C.S. Lewis. You guys probably know that he wrote like the Chronicles of Narnia series and stuff, but this book is written in very proper grammar, and I actually loved that. I loved this book. It made so much sense. Like, he was saying some things about basic Christianity that just made sense to me. I need to do a whole review on this book. There's so much that I need to talk about this book, and I will do that for you guys at some point. I need to do a deep dive into Mere Christianity because there's so many good quotes in this book. So many. But it just really helped me ground myself further in my faith and really know why I believe what I believe. So this was really good. But I actually have a different copy of this than a lot of people have. I don't know how I got this copy. Don't know where I got it from. But it has like pictures on some of the pages, and it is a lot thicker than a lot of the other Mere Christianity books that I've seen, but I liked that because I read part of a chapter and it looks like I read more of the book, and it didn't make me as bored as I would have gotten if it was just all words on the page with no pictures, no nothing, because it was a heavy book to get through. So yeah, I really liked this one. The next book I read was The Grumble-Free Year, and you guys have heard me talk about this book before. A family of 11 tries to not complain or grumble for a whole year. Really good book. I'll link the video up here somewhere that I go further into talking about that book. The next book I read was called Triggers. It was really good because I tend to react with yelling with my kids, but this book you can kind of go back to. Like if your kid is having a specific issue, you can go back to this book and look at that specific issue and learn how to deal with it. So this is definitely a book that I'm going to keep on my bookshelf. The next book that I read was The Power of Words by Nancy Demoss Wagenmuth. I've talked about this one before on a couple of my other videos, which I'll link, but this one is a devotional about the words that you speak and how we need to be careful as Christians with the words we speak. The next one that I read was Another Gospel by Elisa Childers. Amazing book. I should probably do another video just on this book as well because there are so many good things in this book. Elisa Childers is one of the singers from Zoe Girl, a group that I used to love listening to when I was little, and she wrote this book about how she kind of fell away from her Christian faith almost in a sense and then came back to it, and just her journey with dealing with a whole bunch of progressive Christianity that was thrown at her. So that was a really good one. The next book is one of my all-time favorites that I've read like all year. 5 stars for this book. Homeschool Bravely. Hunter and I, as you guys know, we have decided to homeschool the kids on a year-by-year basis, but hopefully for a while. But it says how to squash doubt, trust God, and teach your child with confidence. I bought this for a couple of my friends. I will continue to buy it for more of my friends that are going to be homeschooling. This book just kind of gives me like an overall feeling of God called you to it so he can walk with you through it sort of thing. I don't know. It was just a really amazing book. And the next one I read was by Crystal Payne, and it's called Say Goodbye to Survival Mode. This one was really good for moms in like the little years. And this is definitely one that I'm going to keep on my bookshelf because I read it like a month or so ago and I already feel like I need to read it again because this is just everything she talked about in this book just hit it. Oh, I'd probably need to do a video on this book too. It was just really good. Linked below for all you moms out there. The next one that I read, my sister lent this to me and she's got me hooked on trying to look for more books about the World War II era. This book is by Kristen Hanna and it's The Nightingale. Apparently it's becoming a movie next year sometime too, which I'm super pumped for. But it's so good. It was just so well written, and it's about an actual story of the Nightingale, who was someone in World War II who helped downed airline pilots find refuge in Spain. So it's based on a true story, and it's just, oh, it's so good. The next book I read I got because I want to be more involved with the young adult women in my church, and it's called Christian Cosmo, The Sex Talk You Never Had by Felicia Masenheimer, and it was a very good book, a really good strong Christian stance on purity culture and church and how we should approach these topics with our young adults. And it was very good. I highly recommend that if you are needing to talk to a young adult about this kind of thing, or if you're a young adult woman yourself. It's a very good book. And the next one that I read was called Live Not by Lies by Rodrier. And this one was really good. However, I did get a little bit confused because it's about people who lived in like communist countries and how they came to America, and now the way that things are going in the country now, they're scared, and it just kind of talks about culture and politics and stuff like that. But it's a very good book. However, I found it confusing because of the names of the people that he interviews. It's not his fault. These people have like names that are really hard to pronounce, and it's hard for me to get through the book trying to remember, oh, okay, he's bringing up this person that he talked about in chapter 2, except I don't know if it's the person he talked about in chapter 2 or chapter 4, because both of the names were so confusing that I just like ignored the name and kept reading, you know? So that made it kind of confusing to me, but overall it was a really good book. And then the next 2 books I read while I was at the beach with my husband. We had a anniversary getaway. It was glorious. I read these 2 books while we were at the beach, and this one is James Patterson, Suzanne's Diary for Nicholas, and it was a good book, but it was also very emotional. It wasn't a Christian fiction book, and it just had something things that I was like, okay, well, you didn't really have to go that far talking about that, or it was almost too emotional for me at times. It was pretty good. And then the last book that I read this year was called The Couple Next Door, about a woman who her baby was taken out of her crib and she couldn't, like, trying to figure out who the kidnapper was the whole time. Very good, except I hated the last chapter of the book. The book would have been perfect had they not put the last chapter in. And if you get this book and read it, you will find out why. Now, they had like a few curse words here and there, and I don't like reading books that have curse words in it, but other than that, it was a really good book. That is all of the books that I have read so far. I am in the middle of reading one by Ted Dekker titled 3. Oh my word, it's right up there with a Nightingale with how good this book is to me. I love thriller books, and this one is like hitting all of the nails on the head, and it's also a Christian fiction book, which just makes it's a really good book, and I'm really excited to finish it and read more of his books. That is all of the 18 books that I have finished so far in 2021. Oh my gosh, I skipped one. Okay, after I read the Homeschool Bravely book, it was called Twisted Innocence by Terry Blackstock. I didn't realize it was a third book in a series, but the way she re-explains everything that happened in the first 2 books, you didn't need to read them, so it was a pretty good book. But yeah, those are all my books. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. It was kind of a weird video, but I liked it. Hope you guys did too. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being here. Keep smiling, keep finding the joy. Thanks, guys. Bye! Oh. I'm so weird. I'm such a weirdie. I was gonna say weirdo and oddball, and it came out as weirdy, which doesn't make sense at all, but oh my gosh.